So, hi, I need to look at the camera, I guess. My name is Andrea Di Stefano, I'm a game designer on Creatures Online.
And I am Samuel Lengai, and I'm also a game designer on Creatures Online.
So we're here at Gamescom to present Creatures Online, which is the fourth chapter in the Creature series. It's a game, well, you'll see, in which you handle a lot of creatures that evolve, and we'll do a little demo here, which is exactly the same demo as the one on the public stand. So that's why it's not really made to go on a small PC like this. But anyway, I hope you like what you'll see.
So Creatures Online is actually the reboot of a very old game, which came out in '95, which was originally artificial life development. It was really like a research by a scientist named Steve Grant, and actually it's only after when it came out that he noticed that it could be made as a game. And so there has been like 3 episodes, I think, and throughout like that sold like maybe about like 1 million or something, and that was really like a total how would say ovni
it was a really
UFO game, niche game. It was a real niche game, like there was nothing
very
like it, very hardcore. It was just like some kind of scientific sandbox where you had no objective, no tutorial, just dropping the player like with all this genetic information, scientific information. So we actually really loved that game, and we wanted to make a new episode. We were like, okay, it's been like 15 years, there hasn't been like a new episode, so we decided, okay, why not having a try? Because it was still very interesting, and there was a lot to do to actually make it more accessible for the players. And so we really worked on that because we saw everything we could do and still keep the whole complexity and awesomeness of the virtual world while having all those quests and contents for regular players not to be lost in the game.
So basically what we did is that at the time we were a company of 6 people, so kind of small, and we said, well, let's try it, and we sent an email to the guys that had the IP for the game, and we said, hey, we're small developers, we want to make a game about creatures, and they said, yeah, okay, whatever, let's do it. And so we pitched the project around for 1 year, and eventually we found Big Ben Interactive, who are the publisher of the game, and so 2 years and some months after that, here we are, and the game will be released sometime by the end of the year, first on iOS, then on PC at a later date, and Android, and eventually your coffee machine and your fridge as well. Everything we can manage. So we'll show you a little bit what the game is about. Just to define the pillars of the game. When we started the project, we wanted the game to be a free-to-play. The main reason for that is that, as I said, we were a small company, so we didn't have enough budget to invest to make a AAA game. So we said, okay, the best way to do a cool game is to really make it free-to-play, so it lowers the barrier of entry for the players, and then we can engage in a dialogue with the community to see where the community wants to evolve the game to go, and because one interesting fact is that even 10 years after the last Creatures game, there is a community that are still playing the game, and it's the nicest community ever. They're like, oh, you're the best developers, you're reviving creatures, and we really want to discuss with them and see where they want it to go. So free to play was a good way for us to do that. One other thing we really wanted to do on this project is be able to do a cross-platform experience. We want the players to be able to start the game on iPad and continue on PC with exactly the same game, and without cumbersome saving features. We want the game to be on the cloud, basically. So that. Oh, and also the game, we wanted it to be beautiful, because we wanted to.
Everyone wants to.
Yeah, of course. But one of the main focuses of Fishing Cactus, our company, is that we really want to create a cool 3D games with beautiful environments, with visuals that stand out, and you will remember all your life about it. That's very humble goal, I guess. So yeah, let's move on to the game. let you.
Yeah.
Nemo?
So the whole concept of creatures is that actually you have this virtual world in your PC where you have the main characters, which are the Norns. So Norns are little creatures that really have an advanced artificial intelligence and a whole simulation of biochemistry system. So like us human beings, like that we have like glucose getting processed through organs, etc. So obviously that complexity before was like open for the player to mess around with, but now we kind of like it's still the same complexity inside, but we removed that in appearance so far. The whole interesting thing with artificial intelligence is that it's actually a neural network which function kind of like a human brain, which allows the creature to really make a deep connection in the world, like between like okay, if I am hungry and I do this and then I'm rewarded by the player, then it will learn new stuff, and it can make like a lot of connections like that. And so the goal of the game is that so actually you have those creatures and you have to take care of them and especially teach them to handle the world themselves. So they have to take care of the environment. You have to build like a self-sustainable world. And the goal with so you have to teach them like to for instance like water a plant so that they can eat, etc. So you have to really take care of them, and so that's really like I would say like the short-term goal. Like the short-term goal is really just to have them not die. Then you have like a long-term goal, which is like that you have to make creatures breed together in order to unlock new breeds of creatures and unlock old genetic knowledge that was kind of lost, and so retrieve.
So basically, you have two types of gameplay in this game. So you have a short-term gameplay, which is take care of your creatures. I don't know if the picture is clear enough, but you see, as in many pet games, you have like you can give products to your creature, like you give a cookie, it's cookie. It's very, very basic. And this is really important when creatures are small kids, because they cannot sustain themselves, which is one of the main features of the Creature series. As on the contrary of other pet games, you don't have one creature and it lives forever. It's you have like creatures that are born, they live and they die. So you don't have one creature, but you have whole generations of creatures. And where it gets interesting is that these creatures, they breed together, they make kids, and the kids share the traits of their parents. So for example, you play the game on the iPad, you log out of the game for 2 days, you go back into the game, and then you have like new small kids that look a bit like their parents, and so that's one of the fields that we really want to encourage, is that you have a small living world inside your device, that every time you check in, a bit like Animal Crossing, you have to go there once in a while, to make sure your creatures are still alive, that they're not like being killed by spiders and other mean things. And so you start in this first environment here, which we call the hatchery, which is like really the safest place ever. The ecosystem is really safe. You don't have any angry animals in it, and you have, let's say for example, a small kitty here. This is the state in which all the creatures are born. Really small. They cannot work because we are against child labor, of course. And you have to feed them. You have to tend to their needs. And once this step is passed, you can start placing plants. For example, like you have here. You actually buy a pot from the shop. Oh, no, not this. Go away. So you have a plant like this, and if you ask an adult creature here, you can actually ask it to water the plant, and so the plant will eventually bloom, will make fruit, and the fruit can be, all the small creatures can eat fruit. So at that point, you really have a self-sustainable colony. You don't need actually to be there and give food anymore, because the other creatures are providing for those. So that's the long-term goal of the game, is to really create a colony of creatures that you can, watch from afar and say, wow, this is cool. I don't have to do anything anymore.
One really important point is that when once you've done like an action, you've told your creatures, for instance, to go water the plant, it's very important to give feedback to the creature whether it was a good or a bad action. So here I just rewarded my creatures for having watered the plant, and what is interesting is that all the actions the creatures can do. The player can tell them whether it's good, whether it's bad. And so, for instance, if a player just wants to mess around with his creatures and just tell them that hitting the plant, just beating other Norn is good, he can do it. It's the kind of stuff he can mess around with the brain of the creatures. So the goal of the game, as I said before, is to unlock new collections of creatures. And so how this is reached is because all the creatures have a genetic code. So as you can see here, there are 8 genes. The 8 genes of the creatures are actually they're a kind of genetic code, and it's a mix of different race. We have 12 main race in the game, and so we have all kinds of combination that the player can make, and the player will have to breed creatures to reach objectives like that, like some patterns of race.
Yeah, we call that the creature collection. Yeah. It's basically some kind of
Pokédex,
Pokédex kind of collection. So you have really to get the genes and really mix them to reach a certain target creature. Mm-hmm. So there is one main way of getting these genes is through the hatchery machine. So as you can see here, you have a selection of eggs. And when you click on an egg, of course, all of these are unlocked right now because this is a demo and we are super generous and we want to provide all the resources. But if you look at the eggs, every time you click on one, you see which genes are common, uncommon, and rare in this egg. And this defines the chances of you getting one of those genes, right? So when you buy one of these eggs, we buy one of these eggs, thank you. You actually can see what the final genetic code is, and it actually informs you on what the single genes are and what you will be able to do with them. So let's say, for example, I have these genes here. What I can do is that I can actually activate the gene splicing machine that allows you to recombine the genes of a creature. And as you can see here, you can have 2 Norns, and you see each one's genetic code here. And if you change, the genetic code changes as well. And if you continue, you have like the genetic helix in which you can configure the genes. So let's say, for example, one of in the collection of creatures, one of the goals is to reach a creature that has all these genes here that are all the same. For example, I come here.
Right now, these genes are all unlocked for the demo purposes, but of course, in the game, like those genes are going to be locked first. And the more the player will complete objective, the more he receives XP, unlock level, and so he unlocks new eggs and new ways of getting new genes, which is a very classical way of progressing into the game.
So this naked legs Norn, which is weird. So this, for example, you see, this could be a goal for one of the collections, be to have a pure Norn of that breed, Mm-hmm. So, of course. Okay, I won't spend too much time in this, but you can you can create a new egg that will go into your hatchery machine, and then you can bring into your world to use in the splicing machine or in natural breeding. So this is where one of the free-to-play aspect of the game comes in. One of the defining pillars of our design is that we don't want to lock the players and say, okay, now you cannot play anymore if you don't pay or whatever. We always said, okay, we want the player at all times to be able to play with the creatures themselves, at least. But for example, on the Norn collection that will require to use this machine, the use of that machine will take a certain amount of time that you will be able to accelerate. So that's a classic mean of free-to-play monetization, but what is really important for us to underline is that at no point you will be blocked, and the game will say to you, now go away and come back in 3 hours because all your creatures are dead. Even if in the worst case all your creatures are really dead, you will still be able to create a new egg from the hatchery machine, which is normal. Well, so one other important aspect of the game is that, as we said, this is really the first environment which is really safe. This is a nursery, really, where your kids will like go around and only play with rabbits and stuff. But then we have, on release, we will have 4 regions which are progressively more dangerous. So this is the second one we're featuring in the demo. It's called the Treehouse, and it has a very distinctive look. And we really wanted to create this fantasy world, you know. And each screenshot, we really wanted to be like, wow, I really want like to go into that world because it looks super colorful. And as you can see here, well, maybe not from the distance, but you have like bee nests here, and when the creatures go and like, you know, disturbs the bee nest, then you have all the bees coming out, and the bees are really nasty and they can kill a creature. So we can actually demo that. And every one of these environments has increasing threats. For example, we have a cave, and in the cave we have you know, aggressive spiders. We have a lagoon in which we can go underwater, but if you cannot breathe underwater, you die. So yeah. And it's really interesting because, as Sam said, you can tell to a creature, to a Norn, what is good and what is not good. So you see, for example, if the creatures go and tickles the bee nest, you can say, oh, that's not good, that's not good. But it's totally up to you if you want to create a breed of suicidal creatures that as soon as they see a bee nest, they go like, oh, bee nest. You can totally do it, and you say, yeah, good, good, go and play with the bee nest, you know?
So we're gonna ask our creatures to go and hit the bee nest. What is also interesting is that when a creature is busy, you know, it might not, you know, listen to you. When you give like a kind of order to the creatures, it's actually not an order. It's like the player suggests to the creatures to do something.
Please go and do this, you know.
And like for instance here, my creatures was really tired, and I asked her to go, but she decided no, I'm gonna sleep. So it's really not like it's not like a units from Nord.js or something. So here I tried to wake her up, but no one, so I can just give her a slap and then she goes directly to...
And then you have the bees coming out, and they're starting to beat the creatures up, and it will probably die at some point.
Yeah, if I let it here, but it's okay. Yeah. We're gonna be nice today and not kill our creatures.
Yeah, it's one of the things that are really very specific about the creature series as a whole, is that you don't order, you know, a unit to do something, you know. It's your creature, you really ask it to do something. Your creature, if it doesn't like you, it will say like, hey, no, I don't want. Like, I have other stuff to do, like sleeping, you know. And it's really important because it's put emphasis on the fact that it's not simply a unit, it's actually a true simulated living being. And it's as a means of showing the complexity of this. You can see here, for example, we show what we call the drives, which is the hunger, the sleepiness, the boredom, you know, all the critical things for the creature's life. But then, if you go into the details, you see that you have a lot more drives than the ones that we display there. So, for example, crowdedness, loneliness, cold, hot, and all this information go into the brain and to the biochemistry, and actually pushes the creature to take action depending on its status. One of the goals of the project was, you know, to be respectful of the IP, because at one point, you know, it was like the question was, okay, do we simplify it and we make like Nintendo dogs, and you know, really make a classic pet game? But actually, we thought that wouldn't be respectful enough of the IP, so we decided really to keep the underlying complexity. Make it more accessible, of course. You know, in the old game, you really have a lot of tools to go and tweak, blah blah blah. It's really complex, and we decided to make it more accessible. But at the same time, At the same time, we really wanted to give a little bit of insight on the complexity that is there. So we have what's called the science kit, which has absolutely no goal in the game, but it's there. It's kind of a tribute to the old community. And it shows all the system, the chemical system in a Norn, and each Norn is defined by 250 chemicals. And so you can actually see all the curves of each chemical. You can inject more, and basically it's really a science kit. And so yeah, we really made no compromises there. Actually, the game is based on the source code of like the old games. Yeah. And so yeah, we are pretty proud to say that, you know, even today, Creatures is the most advanced AI in video games. You know. The hard part is that you know, as a player, you have to understand that advanced AI means that the creatures can basically say not now, you know, like. So yeah. So as I said, the game will be totally playable on PC and iOS devices and Android at a later date. So you will basically close down your PC game, open up on the iPad, it will be exactly the same game. It was really important for us. In terms of social features, you can share eggs with your friend. You have like an egg with really awesome genes, and you say, okay, no, I keep that for myself. You have the one with the crappy genes, and you say, I said that to my friend. You know. And in future updates, because as I said, we really plan on updating the game and listening to community feedback. We'll probably insert new social features like visiting the world and sharing creatures themselves. Like think of what you can do with like giving sicknesses to a creature and sending it to a friend. You know, like awesome and stuff like that. And so yeah, we really hope, you know, that this project can go on for like 10 years, and we really will be able to add like 100 new regions and things to do, and that's it basically.
What can we expect besides the game saving stuff? Like, for example, special features or decoration for the environment?
Yeah, so we have a classic shop, which is here, which sells a mix of machine that you need to produce the coins, which is the resource of the game. That also produces decorations, where you also buy the pots, so you can put the plants in it. Also small animals are moving around, because we also simulate the ecosystems. And so you can put those small animals. So for example, you have like chameleons that eat the bees. So you can like put some chameleon next to the bee nest, so it gets a little bit less dangerous. So this is the main shop for things that you place yourself in the game. In our view, the hatchery machine, the one where you choose all your eggs, is also a kind of shop. You know, it works on another kind of currency, which is the energy, which doesn't work as the energy in a Facebook game, where it was more of action points, but it's more of a recharging energy gauge that defines how many, you know, at what periodicity you can like create a new egg, you know. So that's also one kind of store, of course. We are also planning to sell probably genes in the store that you can then, you know, gene packs that you can like use in the gene splicing machines. So everything that makes sense actually. It's,
you mentioned that you are going to add a multiplayer dimension there, like to visit your friends. Are you also planning some kind of competitive, like mini games or something, like your creatures versus my creatures, some kind of game or something?
Actually,
That would be a cool idea.
That would be a cool idea. It's something that comes up because sometimes the creatures themselves don't like each other, and that actually leads some cool small episode, like, you know, how they kiss and they breed, and then at one point they start beating the crap out of each other, and it's like sometimes we say we should do a fighting game with this, or fighting minigames, but the truth is that right now we don't have any plans for that. But who knows? You know, it's
We'll see how the game goes.
yeah, we'll see how the game goes. We also have like some really cool animals in there. Like we have a crab, which is like all the time, and it would make a super character for a game by itself. You know, like some kind of small creature spin-off. But yeah, at the moment we don't have. We don't want to make it a mini game based game.
Can we customize the creatures with, like, I don't know, hats or other accessories?
No. It's something that might be done at some point. There are several reasons for that. The ones is mostly time reasons, because you know, you need to hit the deadline. The other reason is also we don't want it to look weird. So it's something that we see potential in, because of course you want to like you know, give some personality.
Customize more.
Yeah. The thing is also that you know, customizing a creature makes a lot of sense when you have a creature that lives forever. But since these creatures die, you know, it's we have to find the right balance. And right now we're thinking about how we can do it in the best way, but not for the initial release at least.
And you want to add something, send a message to the players?
yes, I hope that we can find like millions of players, of new players, but I really hope also the old Creatures fans really like it, because we were Creatures fans to begin with, and the reason this project exists is because we were fans and we said we should definitely do a new one. And we hope we manage to reinvent the game, the art, the creatures themselves in a good enough way that people will like it.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.